Hello, this is the final project for Nick and Koby's uh, app that we've created called Star Chaser. So first things first, we'll run through the code here really quick. The main thing that we take advantage of with this app is the Android widget image view. That repository has a lot of useful functions for manipulating the user interface while the app is running. The majority of our app, though, takes place within this onCreate function here. The first thing we do is we have two buttons declared that are either reset or start the game, and these are overlying for the entire app. First off, the start button is the most important button. Nothing happens until the start button is clicked. As you can see here, I'm clicking the up and down buttons and nothing is happening. So to start, when the start button is clicked, multiple things happen. First, the countdown timer that we have implemented begins, and this does a few things. First off, it gives the player a sense of time that they have played, so their score actually means something to them. And also what it does is once it's over, we have text in here that becomes visible that says game over. The next thing that happens is the game is actually able to be played, as in the buttons come into action and the guy will begin moving and all of our other functions begin acting. So let's start the game here. So you'll see here's the timer beginning to go. So what we have going on down here on our other click listeners for our other buttons is functions that allow our guy to move and also have to do with collisions between the star and the guy. So we're going to come down here, and this is one of our functions that we use. We'll just walk through it really quick. So this is the call right, but they all do basically the same thing. So the first thing, to actually get the guy to move, we take advantage of the image view Android repository again, and we use this get x and set x. So this is how we find where the guy is. We find his x and y coordinates, and depending on which way we want him to go, right, left, or whatever, we just move him, right 20 pixels, left 20 pixels, up 20 pixels, or like down 20 pixels, right? So that's rather simple in regards to how the guy actually has to move, and it's really nice that the image view has these functions that we were able to take advantage of. The next section was a little bit more tricky to figure out, and that was how we were able to sense the collisions. Let me reset this here. Sense the collisions between the star and the guy. So what we do here is, as the guy approaches, we were initially looking into a collision API that would actually sense the collisions between these different objects. But what we found that was simpler was just using what we already had and finding or creating a little box around this star in regards to pixels, right? So we have a 50 by 50 pixel box around here that this guy is looking for, and once he gets within that box, it triggers this code here, and that does a few things. So let's run into him. And first, what that does is it adds our score up here. So that's how we keep your score going, and that's just we're adding to our overall private value and score number, and we are just turning that into a string and adding it into a text box, right? But down here's a little bit more interesting. So this phone is 180 pixels by 1080 pixels by 1900 pixels or something like that. So we have that based on about halfway between these two, so that's how it determines the movement. So it never leaves this box, and the star can move certain distances. How we randomize it a little bit is each button does something a little bit different in regards to distance, so that if you hit it a certain way, the star goes somewhere else, and then you gotta chase it over to the next position. And then whenever you want to restart, you reset the game, score goes back to 0, you go back to the 0-0 position, and you hit start, timer begins, and then chase the star. Thank you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask.